Hi guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new to this channel, I'm LaRita. I'm your YouTube resident veterans expert, veterans benefits expert. I wanted to come on here today to talk to you about President Biden and him urging veterans to apply for the PACT Act. If you don't remember, back in August of 2022, they passed the PACT Act, which basically expanded, liberalized the law, and allowed for veterans to make it easier for veterans to apply and be granted benefits, disability benefits. So he's encouraging people to apply for it because this could be the difference between a denial and an approval. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about five of some additional benefits that you can get from applying to the PACT Act. What happens if you applied already for benefits and was denied? And what's the earliest effective date if you applied in the past and you're applying now and you get granted? What's the earliest effective date you can get? So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to our channel. Hit that thumbs up button. I try to give you relevant and useful information. What it does is pushes it out to the YouTube algorithm so it can help other veterans to see it and to also apply. So thanks for hopping in today. I'm going to start out with the PACT Act. So I'm going to share my screen with you because as of yesterday, so I'm recording this on December 17th. As of yesterday, President Biden went on kind of like a little tour in Delaware to share that you guys should apply for this. It's near and dear to his heart because one of his sons, Bo, I believe it was Bo. Let me just make sure. Yes, Bo Biden passed away. He was actually in the military as well, and he passed away. And he was president in the Persian Gulf, where he perhaps was exposed to burn pits, and he ended up dying of brain cancer. And so this act is near and dear to Biden's heart because this act also expands the benefits available for veterans who served in the Persian Gulf and were exposed to burn pits, right? And so, not to say that that would have saved his son's life, but perhaps he would have applied for benefits and been able to receive disability benefits. So at the Delaware National Guard facility, named for his late son, a somber President Biden on Friday urged veterans to take advantage of new healthcare opportunities under legislation he signed in August. The law known as the PACT Act helps veterans get screened for exposures to toxins, and not just screened for it. So this is off of CBS News. It not only just helps them get screened for it, but also helps them achieve benefits. If you already have a claim in the pipeline and you're not able to prove certain elements, it may help you get over the hurdle, right? So it's not just a screening, it may be the difference between you getting your already applied for claim granted. So he basically, if there's exposures to Agent Orange when you're in certain areas, I know Thailand is one of the high ones for Vietnam veterans. You had to prove certain things, expanded those access to benefits for those exposed to Agent Orange and for toxins from burn pits in other countries in the Persian Gulf War. So he went on a tour and was talking about that yesterday. What they do is direct you, and I'll share the screen with you, but I'll also put it in the description box because I always get questions about like where can I find the information. Directs you to a VA website, and it's like I said, I'll leave the link in the description box so you can copy it over. So it says the PACT Act and your VA benefits. The PACT Act is a new law that expands VA healthcare and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits, Agent Orange, and other toxic substances. The PACT Act adds to the list of health conditions that we assume or presume are caused by exposure to these substances. This law helps us provide generations of veterans and their survivors with the care and benefits they've earned and deserved. This page will help answer your questions about the PACT Act, what it means for you or your loved ones. So it's a frequently asked question, and it gives some information about different veterans. We still have some Vietnam veterans. Persian Gulf is the more recent veterans, but it also tells you basically everything that you need to know about the PACT Act. What I'm going to tell you is basically distill it into 5 things that you may not have known about the PACT Act and how it impacts you. Excuse me. So I mentioned before that if you apply for the, let's say you apply for a disability, a let's say a cancer, and you were a veteran of the Vietnam War, and let's say you were stationed in Thailand. If you applied for benefits before and you had to prove that you were operating near the perimeter of the Thailand base or some way interacting with the perimeter of the Thailand base to get actual presumption that you were exposed to herbicides, right? That was a high hurdle. It was a lot of times if your military occupational specialty, your MOS, had you somewhere off the base that had no connection with the perimeter, it was very hard to prove that you had exposure to herbicides while stationed in Thailand. Vietnam was a whole different story, but Thailand in particular was a higher hurdle. What the PACT Act basically does is saying if you have proof that you were stationed in Thailand, we're going to presume that you were exposed to herbicide. You don't have to prove that you were operating near the perimeter anymore. The high burden of trying to prove that, just to show that you were in Thailand during the Vietnam War, certain dates, and you can have presumptive exposure to herbicides. Now, that doesn't change as far as the list of disabilities that are connected to herbicides. It basically just changes the fact that they'll presume that you were exposed to that toxin, right? So this is a big deal. We have some people in the pipeline who are saying, like, I've tried to prove it. Oh, excuse me. I've tried to prove it before that I was exposed and I can't, and now you can. So I'll get into a little bit about what that'll do for you, right? So if you've already been in the pipe, excuse me, this morning, if you've already been in the pipeline and you applied and you've been denied and you appealed it and you're kind of waiting for an answer from the board or from the RO, and you're saying, I would like to have my claim considered under the PACT Act, that could be the difference between a grant and a denial. Yay for you, right? That might be right in time for the holidays. It will allow you to have your claim granted. Now, I want to be clear about, though, once you have your claim granted, the earliest effective date for your claim, if you want it considered under the PACT Act, is going to be August 10th, 2022, regardless of when you applied, if you want to consider it under the PACT Act. Now, that's if, big if, right? So you can have two things. You can have it considered under the PACT Act and be done with it and have it approved the date of August 10th, 2022. Or if you still want VA to consider it under the old regulations where you had to prove that you were on the perimeter and have a possibly earlier effective date, you can still do that. So what the VA will do is they'll grant you under the PACT Act effective August 10th, 2022, as long as you have one of those disabilities on the presumptive list. And then if you also want them to consider and do further research or dig into whether you actually were operating near the perimeter, they can do that. If they ultimately conclude that you were, you can get an earlier effective date at a later time. So keep that in mind, that the effective dates of grants under the PACT Act, although it's a liberalizing law, meaning it expanded it, it doesn't go back to years prior. It goes back to August 10th, 2022. Only if you want to consider in the PACT Act. Now, if you're very sure that you can prove, like I said, that you operated the perimeter or you had clear exposure to herbicides aside from the PACT Act, you can also ask for consideration aside from the PACT Act. So keep that in mind when you're applying for benefits, that the effective date will change and you can also have it considered under both. Let me see my little notes. So the next thing is for herbicide. Herbicide was added to the list of diseases that are presumed under the herbicide exposure, right? Excuse me, hypertension. Hypertension, not herbicide. Hypertension was listed as one of the disabilities that was added as exposure to herbicide. That actually, the effective date for that one hasn't actually come up yet. So if you get granted under the PACT Act for hypertension for exposures to herbicides, it won't have an effective date until October 2026. Right? So you can get granted, but you won't actually see any benefits until 2026. So that's 4 years from now. There's another disability, not only hypertension, monoclonal gammopathy. Those two disabilities were added. So if you have either one of those and you want to apply, be mindful that you may get granted, but you won't have an effective date until October 2026. So let me know. I'm talking a lot, but I want to see if you guys have any questions about the new provisions of the PACT Act and how it applies to you and whether you should apply, I would say if you operated in the Persian Gulf or in Vietnam, you should definitely apply because you perhaps can find benefits for some disability that you didn't know was perhaps connected to your exposures. This is basically allowing veterans to have benefits for certain toxin exposures. Let me check my notes here again. It also establishes presumptive for 23 respiratory diseases and cancers that are due to exposure to burn pits and Persian Gulf environmental hazards. So keep in mind that if you, like I said, if previously they added some particular disabilities, your disability previously was not on the list, it may be on the list now. So check it out. And comment below. I want to know which branch of the military you served in. I'm always interested to see where our viewers come from. We have, it runs the gamut. So we have from all, actually I haven't seen Coast Guard lately. So if you Coast Guard, make sure you comment in the comment section because I usually see all of them, but I never see Coast Guard people comment. So let me know which branch of the military you served in. We thank you for your service. And this is a way of basically acknowledging that you, as a result of sacrificing your body and your time, your family, you're now able to get service connected for disabilities, and it makes the process a little bit more easier for you. So also, it concedes in-service radiation exposure for veterans who participated in the cleanup activities in certain areas. So if you feel like you were exposed to radiation, you thought you were exposed, now it allows you to get service connection for certain areas. And I'll list these in the description box because it's kind of hard to list all of them out or talk about all of them. But, and it also, if you check out that VA website page that I gave you, it probably also gives you some more in-depth information. Like I said, Biden is wanting for you to apply so that you can take advantage of these benefits. Congress tries to take care of veterans, and there's money allocated to veterans in the PACT Act to be able to grant benefits and give you actually tax-free benefits each month. And for those who survived you, if you have surviving spouses and things of that nature, well, not you specifically, if you are a surviving spouse, it can also cover those as well. So make sure you apply, or if you've been denied before and you kind of let it go, you reapply so that you can take advantage of these new benefits. Okay, I'll try to come back on here more. I don't want to bombard you with too much information, but I wanted to hop on here so that you know some of the ins and outs of it. And I may come back again before the year ends to kind of break it down any further. I do all kind of veterans benefits videos, so check out the veterans benefits playlist on this channel if you are interested in other disabilities. I talk about hearing loss, knee disabilities, psychiatric disabilities, things of that nature. So check it out if you haven't already checked it out. Thanks for joining today, and I'll see you in the next video.